My girlfriend gets all anxious at restaurants and always says she's full and can't eat anymore, and then says she's hungry after we leave, but she's never like this anywhere besides sit-down places, so I want to help her. Posted by you/whycantwegoout. My girlfriend Ellie, 24F, and I, 28M, have been together 6 months now. She's smart, driven, funny and beautiful, and we're very happy together. There's only one thing about our relationship that I'm confused about. Ellie really doesn't like going to restaurants. She'll agree to go to one when she's hungry, get excited about choosing a place and what to eat, but when we get there she clams up and gets very nervous. She rarely finishes any of the food we've ordered, we usually share lots of sides so we get a selection, and says she doesn't know why she's so full now. When we're together in other places she can talk for England, and I'm always having people telling me how funny and confident she is. But in restaurants Elle goes so quiet. I've asked her about it and at the time she says I dunno, I just feel a bit weird, sorry, not hungry, I don't know why, and afterwards when she's perked up she'll mention how she's now hungry and wishes she had eaten it all, and laugh about how weird she was acting. Bit of background. Ellie worked in restaurants and bars as a teenager and in her earlier 20s, doesn't anymore, so she's not unfamiliar to the environment. She's never nervous like this when we go to a pub or bar or for an active date like bowling or going running. She's an amazing cook and baker and eats plenty at home. I've never seen a girl put away a steak like she does before. Once when we were first dating we went out and she had what she calls a very mild placebo anxiety attack. She went to a doctor 2 years ago for anxiety after her father passed away, and she doesn't suffer anymore, but we went to lunch when we were both very hungover. She said during the meal she started feeling what she first thought was anxiety, heart rate increase, sweating, dizzy, not feeling right in herself, but was actually just her hungoverness, but by that point she already had to go calm down. She was fine after a brief walk in the fresh air and 10 minutes. I love her to bits, and this isn't a deal breaker for me by any stretch of the imagination, but it's an issue I'm confused by. I just want my Ellie to be comfortable and happy. If anyone has any insight into this at all, it would be great. Thanks. Commenter. It doesn't sound like she has panic attacks, just is a bit reserved. Try sitting in a booth against the wall for more privacy, and vary the venues from busier to lower sedate dining. If she really begins to react negatively, you may have to decide to dial back the restaurant dinners, or seek medication for anxiety. Personally, I'd just have dinner parties at home rather than seeking medication for a problem so specific and not that debilitating. Op. No, I agree, she says she hasn't had a panic attack in nearly 2 years. The things is she isn't reserved at all. Over the past few months she's agreed to meet my friends or family in circumstances that might not be the most comfortable and she's done fine, loved it actually. I took her to touch rugby where I play with all my work friends and their girlfriends and other random people. It's a group of 30 new people and she was getting on great with all of them by the end of it. Same with my birthday, she met all my old school friends, family, other people she hadn't met, and she was mingling like a drunk first lady in a tight dress. Everyone told me they loved her. No, it's not really a big issue, I would just appreciate an insight if anyone has a similar experience. Commenter 2. When you ask her in the moment, she always says she doesn't know why she was acting weird. But have you tried talking with her outside of one of these incidents? Sit her down and point out that you've noticed it's a recurring pattern, and ask what's going on. One possibility that occurs to me is that she has some kind of OCD-like fear about the cleanliness standards in restaurants. Having worked in them, she knows how gross they can be behind the scenes. Even if she's not OCD about other things, it can manifest itself in just one limited way. Maybe she keeps psyching herself up and thinking she can overcome it, but then she sees a spot on the tablecloth or notices some flaw in the food that makes her completely lose her appetite. And perhaps she doesn't explain this to you because she's still hoping the issue will go away if she ignores it. It won't. If it's OCD, she needs to see a professional. That's just speculation, though, only she knows the full story, and you need to talk to her. Op. Whatever it is, it's very specific to restaurants. She has no issue with fast food or takeaways, and she doesn't really mind about food cleanliness, not that she's disgusting, but she abides by the 5-second rule, and will still eat something if a fly landed on it or whatever. Thank you for your comment though, it's really puzzling. When I ask her outside of restaurants she just says she felt weird and just sometimes she feels weird, and she's sorry. She kind of brushes it off. I don't know if it's worth getting into an in-depth conversation that might upset her, over something so minor, you know what I mean? Not really sure how to proceed. Update. Hi everyone, thanks for your comments. They were supportive, insightful and helpful. Shout out to the guy who suggested my girlfriend was so fat that she was scared she wouldn't fit into the restaurant. You cracked the case, Wheels. I'm not great at hiding my feelings or lying, and Ellie knew something was up with me. In the last post a lot of people had commented about her possibly having an eating disorder, or a much more serious anxiety disorder than she admitted, which was kind of tearing me up inside, so I decided I would casually bring it up to her. She told me immediately she could tell something was up, and I just needed to come out and tell her. I started off by telling her I loved her and I didn't want to upset her. She makes jokes when she's nervous, and she laughed and told me if I'd cheated I'd better start running. I told her that I'd noticed her issue with restaurants, and while it didn't matter to me in the slightest, I wanted to know what the deal was, because she obviously doesn't feel entirely comfortable in restaurants with me. I told her I just wanted to understand what was going on, so I could avoid making her uncomfortable in the future, and if she didn't want to tell me it was fine. She went quiet for a while, not upset, just thinking. She said she was willing to tell me but it was hard to articulate, because she didn't exactly understand it herself. She said she did get anxiety in restaurants. Shortly after her father passed she had an anxiety attack and had to leave all her friends during a meal, and maybe subconsciously she is reminded of that during meals out. She said she has no issue with people watching her eat, but she often loses her appetite in a restaurant. She talked about it with me for over an hour and it all made a lot of sense. I asked her, very gently, if she had any issues with food or eating etc. I was opening up the conversation to eating disorders, but allowing her to not discuss it also. She was very open and this was the gist. Ellie's father died 2 years ago. It was sudden and really tragic, and due to a lot of problems he had, they hadn't spoken in over a year when he passed. I knew all this before. A little while after his funeral she got very severe anxiety and for several months could barely sleep, and couldn't eat. Everything she ate she threw up. During that time Ellie got very thin. She's always been in good shape and was never self-conscious, but became very thin. She would throw up most days, involuntarily. She never made herself sick. She felt really depressed and anxious but couldn't help liking her slim figure. She said it was probably because it was the only positive aspect in her life at that time. She got really scared this could develop into bulimia and went to see a doctor. She went on anti-anxiety meds, I didn't know this, and learned how to cope with it. She hasn't been on the meds for over a year. She has never seen a therapist about her dad's death but admits she should. We're going to start doing dates that involve activities more, and get fast food and snacks rather than whole meals. I'm glad Ellie told me all this and I hope I can help her feel better. Thank you to everyone that commented. Commenter. It's so refreshing to see someone seeking out advice for the sole reason of wanting to help their partner feel more comfortable with no ulterior motives to benefit themselves. Seems like they found a good solution, so I hope everything works out.